originators, we apologize for the delay. Looks like we had a couple issues logging into the system here. And so this morning you're going to hear a lot of our team members in the background. We're on the main floor today. We wanted to do a little bit something different, make it a little bit more lively. What we're going to do is keep it simple. Within the first 15 minutes, I'm going to demonstrate the integration between Integra and Into Mortgage Coach and the certain adjustments that you want to make sure you make so that your presentation comes out the way it needs to. And then the rest of the 15 minutes from there, I'll demonstrate a couple of advanced features that you can use once you get comfortable with the tool, so you get an idea of the different options and benefits you have access to. So what we're going to do is, let me demonstrate and pull this up here. I'm going to start off with a couple of snapshots on what to look for when you're in the Integra system, and from there you'll get an idea of how we pull it in at that point. So I'm going to launch a quick poll here. And to get us started, and let's go ahead and get some participation. Let me go ahead and switch there. And let's go ahead and get some participation here. Once we reach 100%, we'll go ahead and move on. This is going to give me a better understanding of where we're at, the type of LOs that are currently on the line, that and it'll give me more further direction as to how I can train and provide training. Okay, so it's 50-50, awesome. So then as we continue the call this morning, what I'd like to make sure is that you all type any questions you have in the chat box. This way it's interactive, and we can address those questions. We want to make sure you feel comfortable using the tool. So that's why we host these sessions on every 2 weeks, every month. Now, what I'm also going to do is launch this to get an idea of what type of users that we have on the line, is how many reports have you actually put together through Mortgage Coach. That'll give me a further idea whether we're dealing with more advanced callers or beginning. Okay, so the average looks like it's right around, well, it's actually about 100, so that's awesome. Okay, so at least you're on track. So again, feel free to type any question in the chat box, and as I'm demonstrating and walking through the system, a lot of it may seem repetitive. So again, if you have questions, I can always pause and address those questions in those specific sections, okay? So let me close that out there. And the moment that you pull it in from Integra, let me go ahead and start off with that portion here. And we'll switch it out. There we go. Okay, so what you're going to see here is on the left, on the right-hand side, on the main screen here. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you access the loan number. Okay, and by accessing the loan number there, you can then select the OK option. Excuse me, let me go ahead and move this out of the screen here. And let me play it one more time. Perfect. So from this point on, what you're going to want to make sure, again, is that you find the loan number, and from there you're going to access the OK option at the very bottom. Once you do so, what it's going to do is automatically pull up the file or the borrower that you're now looking for. So in this case, this would be our client, our borrower, Cindy Clearfield. At this point, on the left-hand side, what you're going to see is the first thing you want to make sure you do, if you're not aware of this, is to make sure you check off that you want the descriptions, the process on the left-hand side to be alphabetized. What this allows you to do then is search for Mortgage Coach a lot easier versus having to scroll up and down. So again, it will save you some time there. From there, as we know, we're going to go ahead and select the Generate Report. Again, this is from the borrower that you've now pulled in. We're currently working with Cindy Clearfield. The moment you generate the report, it then pulls up the report, automatically routes it, pulls up the TCA with the product that you've already used. It's going to only bring in one product on the presentation. So when it comes through, one of the things we're going to concentrate on, and again, this may sound repetitive, is we're going to make sure that we abbreviate as much as possible the title name. If you are going to compare, let's assume 4 scenarios side by side to each other, it will cut off your presentation, and a lot of your contact information and data can be cut off as well. You don't want that. So that's what we're going to concentrate on today. Now from that point, what you're going to want to make sure is that you go back to your Integra, and you're going to log into Edge using this feature here. Okay, so again, in order to make adjustments, you'll go back to your Integra, select the Login to Edge option there. Then from here, folks, what you can do is you can also log into Mortgage Coach Edge and have both Integra and Edge already up at the same time. It'll save you time there. But there, from there, what we'll do is you're going to go ahead. It'll reroute you. You will then log into your account, and then it'll drive you in at that point. There's our client. It'll be the first headline, the first client name in the home section. The moment you select it and you open it up, the things that we're going to concentrate on when we're in there is, again, how to make the adjustments. And remember, the majority of the data that you've now brought in from Integra will cover the first few fields that you see there, from client through affordability. The thing we're going to concentrate on, again, would be the product section. That's where we really want to make sure we make the adjustments we need and make them quickly. Don't want to spend too much time in the system. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and get in there. And again, as I'm walking through here, you want to make sure that if you have any questions, feel free to type them into the chat box, and we'll make sure we address those. So the other thing is I want to make sure that you can also see the screen. If for some reason you cannot, again, feel free to type it into the chat box, and I'll be more than happy to assist you. So here is our client the moment you log in. Again, what you'll do is double click. It opens up the presentation. And at this point, you'll notice that, again, Cindy Clearfield has been brought over. The partner email, that's optional. This will, again, provide an email alert to your realtors the moment that your clients have you the report, just like you would receive an email. So again, it's optional, but it's there for you. Nickname, as you can see, is blank. So again, through affordability, you're going to notice that we're going to bypass several fields because they're already launched in. So it's already identified as a purchase. As you can see, as you advance, the purchase price is also brought over as well, so that saves you a significant amount of time. The affordability section we're going to bypass. It's not necessarily going to affect my presentation because of the fact that this is more data entry fields that you already captured in your LOS. So I'm bypassing that as well. So as you can see, reaching the first product here, this is what we're going to make the adjustments on. So you want to abbreviate as much as possible. You don't necessarily have to spell out year. You can just abbreviate it. Place it really close there. Okay. And that's it. So this therefore, as you can see, as you create product after product after product up to 4 scenarios, they're abbreviated. It saves you more time there. A lot of times if this headline title is the same, so let's assume this is product number 1, FNMA, and then product number 2, you have the exact same product headline. A lot of times on the report, on the actual TCA presentation, you will see the products overlap on top of each other. So you want to be cautious of that. So my recommendation that if you are going to have the similar headlines is to add something different so that it does not occur. Remember, if you need to make any adjustments to any one of these products, you can do so. So as you continue and you create 3 different products or 4, you have the benefits to adding 4 scenarios again. So let me quickly show you that if you need to add an additional product, 2 different ways that you can use it to your advantage. When you select add another product, remember, if this was only 1 product created, this would say product number 2 and so forth. So what we immediately do, and let me go ahead and launch this too, is what are the most common loan scenarios that you come across? So let's go ahead and answer that question quickly here, and we'll continue with the training. Perfect. Perfect. We're almost there, folks. So what are the most common loan scenarios that you see compared side by side to each other? Okay. So at this point, you'll see, okay, so FHA, got it, conventional. Okay, great. So as you can see here, when you're adding an additional product, I'm going to go ahead and add a conventional 20% down. Okay. The shortcut, now remember, I have 2 additional conventional options already in place. By these 2 options in place, I can essentially use this copy from option. I'm not going to copy over the Fannie Mae. What I am going to copy is one of these 2 options. The reason why is this will save me, again, a significant amount of time from having to re-enter in all the data. If you access the template initially and you used, for example, this conventional 20% down, and what it will do is you would then have to re-enter in the purchase price. So again, you're re-entering in data that you don't necessarily have to. So at this point, I can go ahead and make the adjustments necessary. If my rate needs to be adjusted, I will also do that as well. But for now, we're going to keep it as is, advance to the next step. And as you can see, it brings over all the data for you, so you don't have to reinvest that time. So as you can see, it also brings down the impounds and any mortgage insurance that's in place. Obviously, with 20% down, there's not going to be any mortgage insurance any longer, so we can eliminate that by accessing this toggle option and then being able to delete either the factor or whether or not you had the dollar amount, you can then delete it as well. From there, as you can see, now I have 4 scenarios, but that's the quickest way you can add an additional product, just to give you an idea on what that looks like there. So you advance here, keep it simple. Don't make it complex. You really can make adjustments, but for the most part, you can just adjust these radio options at the very bottom. Select any one of these options that you would prefer to present to your borrower, and then advance and move on to the next step, which is essentially what we're going to do. Now, after the 15-minute mark, I'll go back and show you what a couple of these strategy options and how you can use that effectively. But for now, we're going to continue to create the presentation. Again, the address should be brought over as well from the Integra version, so you're not going to have to enter in that data. And if there is a specific product that you do not want to appear on the report, then you simply deselect it and it will no longer be there. For now, we're going to go ahead and present all 4 options. And also this payment notes section, this is where your compliance will love you for it. So you want to make sure that you jot down whether or not your taxes and insurance are included. This makes it a lot easier for your borrowers to read. The 2 asterisk marks on the presentation will present that, and any additional notes or notations you'd like to add, you can do so as well. Okay. So the initial reaction is go ahead to click forward, and you would click forward 4 times. Now, as you can see, these 4 graphs that we've gone through here are the exact same 4 options you saw in the analysis section. By selecting and clicking forward 4 times, it now takes you to the end of the presentation. Now, this box needs to make sure that it is notified, so that you are notified, once your borrowers have viewed a report. Also, back in the client section, we made mention that if you would like your realtors to also receive the exact same alert you do, you just simply have to select and make sure that this box is checked off. You're going to make sure you provide a quote date, of course. Select it. And the way to create a report, you still have the option to print, save as a PDF. The best and most effective way is to be able to email the link to your borrower, because you can make any adjustments if need be. The other thing is, if you are going to print it, my recommendation is to preview it first, and then from that version, print it out from that angle. It comes out a lot better. If not, you're gonna the resolution, and you'll see, does not come out as well as the other version once you preview it. So the concept is to generate the link. My voice is getting a little rest. At this point, what we would do is you would automatically put together an email. I'm going to show you here. Let me go ahead and pull up an email and show you how quickly. Now, a lot of LOs, what they'll also do is they'll have pre-made templates that they can access, for example, and it'll automatically have the verbiage in place. And then at that point, what they'll do is the link that you generate, for example, you can now take your mouse, you highlight it, right-click, and copy. And then at this point, this is where you would replace it in any part of the presentation or the email, wherever you'd like. Now, there's also a way where you can rename this link so that it can have, for example, this type of phrase. Here are your financing options. Click here. So you can do that as well. But the concept, again, you will email it to your borrowers. The moment that they access this link, so I'm going to email it to myself. And I'm going to go ahead and say loan options. And I'll demonstrate here, because we're almost close to that 15-minute mark there, is I will show you where you can access any scripts or any emails that you can use to your advantage in this help section. And again, it's a library that you can tap into for any sales training and so forth, okay? So until we receive that email, you have another option that once you generate a link, you can also add a video to your presentation. Now, by selecting this option, you'll see how user-friendly it is, and at the very bottom, you'll see it says record message. Now at this point, the moment I select this as an option and I select allow, It'll now pull up the presentation. It'll now pull it up. So here what it'll do is the webcam is actually down. It fell down there. But for the most part, what it will do is, if we adjust this here, get you a little bit dizzy, guys. And so here we go. So again, it's a little bit crooked, but as you can see, it's the concept. I can look into the camera. I can record. And I'm going to just record something briefly as I'm holding it here. So hello, Cindy Clearfield. My name is Joey Negron, and here are a couple of financing options that are most common in the market right now. You'll notice at the top left, there are 4 different scenarios. A Fannie Mae, which provides you with a minimum down. You'll also have a conventional 10% down, conventional 5%, and conventional 20% down as well. Once we communicate, when we meet during our meeting, I will present these options, and then I'll answer any questions you may have from there. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon. So for example, let's assume that I felt comfortable with that message. I can now close it. I can also replay the message if I'd like. So if I don't feel comfortable with it, I can play it. And again, my webcam was down, folks, so it's actually live, so you can see how real it is. You're really presenting you're presenting yourself in a personal manner. Now your borrowers can actually visually, tangibly see you. It's more personal. It places a lot of trust in place because you're putting yourself out there. And again, you can recap. You can do a lot with it. Okay. So quickly with this report, in order to read the 4 options, there is a training video that will break down, dissect exactly what these 4 options mean. But I'm going to go ahead and provide a brief overview here. And what you would do is, for example, the top left-hand side has to do with similar information that you see on your cost sheet worksheets. You're talking about loan amount, interest rate, payment, cash to close, and then monthly savings. Now, the monthly savings is just taking essentially these payments side by side to each other and subtracts and shows you how much less each of these payments are. So based on this Fannie Mae option in comparison to this 10% conventional, it's about $248 difference. Same concept with this Fannie Mae, comparing it to this conventional 5% down, it's essentially $144 difference. So that's what it's doing. Now, you may not have to go into these 4 graph options many times at all. What this is this just provides additional data for your borrowers to be able to digest the numbers that you're presenting to them. So we've done this research. Again, clients love to be able to see graphs, and so therefore we want to make sure we present it. Down on the left-hand side, that just simply demonstrates the cost in comparison to each one of each other and the interest over time and the benchmark that's preset. So this dollar amount on here on the top summary section is what you currently see in this default, which is the $17,490. Same concept here. So again, this just provides it in graph form. Now, in this left-hand more information section, and again, you may not have to always go into this data, but it is beneficial because at this point, you now can show your borrower based on their let's assume time frame they're going to be at this current home. Here's how much interest you'll pay over this time frame. Here's how much interest you'll pay, and so forth and so on. So what it does is subtracts each one of these options and provides the borrower with the simplistic, easy to read, and direct information that they can easily digest. And again, we've done the research, and that's what borrowers would like to see, or clients or consumers would like to see. So the report itself, in this additional more information section as well, you're looking at the impounds, closing costs, and again, my recommendation is after we get off the call, is go into your system, create a report, and then send it to me. Email it to me directly. I'll go ahead and verify it, and then I can touch base with you, and we can work out the kinks so that you get an understanding of how to leverage it. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and type into the chat box for me, and just say I am interested. If not, no problem, and I'll make sure that I reach out to you to help you and assist you with that. Okay? So in receiving the email, let me show you that quickly, and then what I'll do is I'll demonstrate some advanced features that you can use to your advantage. Now, you'll notice that the email is in place here. Now, the moment that your borrower can access this link, it pulls up the presentation immediately. Now, what this does in this case is I can go ahead and select it, and as you can see, that quickly it pulls up the report. The first thing they see is a disclosure. So if you have multiple screens on your end, I'm going to go ahead and provide you this link. If you have dual monitors, then you can visually see this. I'm going to place in the chat box here the link that I just accessed via email. Again, the link that would have been to your borrower. So if you have dual monitors, you can access that link, and at this point, you'll be able to see what I'm about to demonstrate for you. So now we've shown you how to create a report. I'm going to show you some key advanced features that you can use to your advantage once you get comfortable with it. So before we get into that is remember, if you felt that this session was potentially too quick, you would like to get a better understanding of all of what's included here in this Mortgage Coach Edge, we do have a beginner session every Friday at 9 a.m. You are more than welcome to attend if need be. If not, this help option here, you'll be able to see that here are the quick reference links. These are playlists and scripts that we've also provided for you. Again, that's access through the help option, and also how to read the TCA, which is the report. And these videos in this walkthrough section are really what will help you get started. These are the most common that come across our support team, and this will definitely get you started as well. So again, that is access through the help section, and you can take advantage of it whenever you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and let me show you here the presentation. So if you're viewing it from your end, the first thing you would select is I understand. The borrower immediately would see your presentation, your video. Now what we found is that when you share video, it's 4 times more likely to be shared. Plus, you want to make sure that your content is viewed because they can't misrepresent you. They can always rewind it and it's recorded. So at this point, that's what that looks like. Now, from my end, what can take place is, again, if you're viewing it from your end, folks, I can go ahead and once my borrower has contacted me, or for example, let's assume I just received this notification alert that my borrower has just viewed my report. What I would do then is come back into my system, and again, this is more advanced. I would come into my system, and I'm going to start from there. As I get into my system, I'm going to locate that borrower. Cindy Clearfield, great. Now, anywhere you've left off in the presentation, whenever you created this report, let's assume you left off on the client section. The moment you get back in it, it'll pick up exactly where you left off. Okay, so keep that in mind. Where we have to go is the presentation. Now, one of the key things that you can use to be quick in this system is, again, this is an advanced feature, is these radio buttons or jump buttons that pull up. I can simply hover my mouse over this presentation window, and these 2 windows will pop up. At that point, I would then select the option that I would need at that point. Now, I need the preview section. Same concept if I need to make any adjustments in products. Maybe the rate needs to be adjusted, or you're going to buy something down, for example. Hover my mouse over the products window. As long as I have more than one option in place, then those jump windows will pull up. You can then move side by side to select any one of the options. Again, this will save you from having to use these forward and then backward buttons from there. Okay, so now the borrower has a presentation. I'm going to generate this link. I'm going to select and access this Edge Live button. And what this is going to do is pull up my exact same report. Yes, your video will pull up. You can close it out. Now, what I can do from here is here's my presentation. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my borrower's presentation. I'm going to place it on the opposite screen here. And by doing that, you're going to also be able to see, if in case you don't have dual monitors, you can still see this live for anyone that's on the call. So, my borrower, for example, is currently viewing this report on the left-hand side. And let me go ahead and make sure you can see both of my monitors there. And let's switch to both screens. Perfect. And if you can confirm in the chat box that you can see both screens, then we can go ahead and continue with the training. Awesome. Okay. There we go. Okay, so at this point, I am currently in my presentation. Now, when I walk my borrower through, and again, by selecting the Edge Live feature, you can always access and select any one of these options by selecting and clicking anything with this blue shading, and you'll see that it's also highlighting the presentation options on the left-hand side. Now, that is the borrower's presentation. Now, this will come in handy, again, when you're on the phone with the borrower, and you want to have a consultation with them, and you want to present the loan options. They don't have the opportunity to come into the office. This is your opportunity to now also wow them or wow your realtors as well. You can have more than one individual viewing the report, and they can all see the exact same results. It's limitless. So also, if I want to go ahead and select any additional information, let's discuss your hazard, your property taxes, the difference between each one of these options. Again, and if they have those type of questions, you can now address them clearly. Closing costs. Any upfront premiums? Why is this Fannie Mae option a lot more expensive? Okay, if those questions come about, you now can demonstrate the closing costs if need be. You can also demonstrate in fee detail to your borrowers if you have to go into depth into this conversation. But the concept is your borrower is now being able to see that you're not hiding anything, you're putting everything out there. Okay? So keep that in mind when it comes to using any tools moving forward is we have to make sure that if we don't feel comfortable using them, then we have to find a tool that we do, but also we have to think about the client's end as well. So make sure you keep that in mind. Now, if I want to make a change, for example, one of the things that my borrower cannot do is they cannot access or highlight any part of the presentation. So for those that are viewing it on your end, you can feel free to click on the report anywhere you'd like. You will not be able to highlight or make any changes. Now, you can access, as the client or borrower, these more information tabs if they'd like. Again, that just provides more and detailed information. Now, if I want to make an adjustment, this is how quickly you can do this. So let's assume my borrower decided no longer to go with the Fannie Mae option. I can go into my system. You notice on the left-hand side monitor, again, my borrower is not able to see me go back into my system and make any adjustments. I can hover my mouse over the presentation window, select the report option, and now I can simply deselect. And the moment I do so in advance, my report will now update and remove that product. So you'll notice on the client's report, it now only shows 3 different options. Again, it's really user-friendly as long as you learn the concept of how to create the report, sending it out. At that point, you can then select a video to watch Edge Live to give you a reminder on how to do that. But that's how you can make those adjustments and win over your borrowers moving forward. Okay. The other thing you want to make sure that you can also, for those that are creating open house presentations, make sure that you use and access the copy button because this will save you a significant amount of time. So again, we're talking about advanced features. We earlier just demonstrated how to create a report. So at this point, anytime you're putting together an open house presentation, you can select the analysis option here in the middle, and you can select this copy analysis option. Now, a lot of originators don't recall or remember using this feature, and so they continue to recreate the wheel. So make sure that you access if it's a current partner and you would like their current data to stay intact, which is their contact information, their headshot, and their logo. Then you can select and keep it as current partner. Then at this point, again, it would reroute you, and I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that. It'll reroute you back to the main section, and this is the message that you receive. Your partner has been copied, and you may now make changes. So again, it'll bring over your partner's first and last name. At that point, what you would do is here in the property section is you will now enter in the new property address. So you would make those adjustments, enter in the new image for the new property, and if these are the products that you would still like to continue to use, then you can continue to use those. So when you get to the contact section, and here's where your realtor's data would be, her headshot, again, will also be carried over as well. So this will save you some time in being able to use that. Now, let's assume that you want to continue using these 2 products or any products you have in place, but you're going to be using a new realtor partner. Well, at this point, you can still select the copy analysis. By selecting new partner, you select OK. And now we'll remove the partner's first and last name. So now this can be, whoops, there it is. I can go ahead and advance. Now remember, one key thing, you want to always use a friendly name. This will help you identify each report you put together. So really what's popular is you can enter in the address of that listing, and that'll definitely help. So moving forward, here's the current address that I would now update at that point, which we're not going to do today. I would then update my property features, and then at this point I would update the image as well at that time. The things that I will not change is the products. Again, the concept for a new partner is because I want to retain the products I already created to use them with a different client, but we will have to enter in our new realtor's information. So that's the difference between those two. Again, that is an advanced feature there. Remember, you can also, when you send this out to your clients, you can also access and generate this link and create an Edge Live presentation and have a live conversation with your client, with your realtor, all in the same time, discussing these options or having a conversation about the property. So there's a lot of key things that you can use with that. So keep that in mind, and that's one of the things that you can share there. Another report here, report tracking. This will track any report that you've put together. So Cindy Clearfield demonstrates and tells me how many times it was viewed. So once I email it out to my borrowers, if I'm ever interested, if they viewed it and I never received the alert or forgot about it, you can always check your clients and see how long they viewed it and so forth and so on. Okay, so this will prompt you to at least maybe pick up the phone, touch base with your client from there, and take it as is. So I'm going to go ahead and remove both screens here. We're going to go ahead, and it is now 9:30, so it's 30 minutes in. Right now what we'll do is just answer any questions. If there's anyone that has any specific questions that we can address, anything you'd like for me to demonstrate, now's the time to do so. We do have I'll give it about 2 minutes to see if there's any questions in the chat box. If not, I understand that it's month end, so hopefully you've had a good month. And you must be pulling your hair out. If you have any questions and you'd like for me, let's say, for example, you want to put together a scenario, or you would like for me to put together a scenario so that you can create it in the tool, then simply email me or type into the question box, and I'll make sure that you receive kind of like a homework assignment. You can then email it to me, and I can then review the report, and we can work out the kinks so that you can understand from there. Okay, so feel free to do so. My email also is joey@mortgagecoach.com. I'm going to type that into the chat box. And other than that, folks, you have a great end of the month and continuous, and we'll see you on the next call. Take care.